Hi folks, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates, and I've come to my third video of the day, and this was the one I sort of was looking forward to doing. It's entitled Battling Narcissists in the Bloody Darkness. I was working with a sort of a tough couple this week. They both have really deep issues. One of them has an abandonment issue that gets triggered, and the other one has a shame issue that gets triggered. And what I pictured as they thrashed at each other in our session was two people in a very pitch black, dark room, and the room is filled with sharp objects. And they're banging up their shins against the sharp objects, and they're bleeding in the bloody darkness. And they're thrashing at each other, and they cannot see the truth, and they cannot see the sharp objects. And they keep hurting themselves. And as I was sitting there working with them, I had this picture of my favorite movie, Silence of the Lambs. And how right at the end, when Agent Starling went to Ohio, Belvedere, Ohio, I believe it was, and knocked on the door of Mrs. Littman, who had been killed and was downstairs in the bathtub decaying, and a man who fit the profile of Buffalo Bill came and answered the door, and then she saw the butterflies flying around, the moths. So she knew she had her guy. And before she could pull her weapon, he ran down to the basement and he cut the lights. So there was inexperienced Agent Starling in the basement chasing a monster in the dark, and the monster had night vision goggles and a really big gun. And Agent Starling couldn't see a thing, and she was very inexperienced. So I saw a picture of that in my head and likened it to what we go through. We're in a dark house, it's pitch black, and our predator monster, they have night vision goggles and we don't. And it turns out badly for most of us. The fact that Agent Starling was able to turn around and put 6 bullets into Buffalo Bill just because he cocked his gun, that's Hollywood. If you're walking around in your life in pitch blackness and there's a cunning, vicious monster with night vision goggles, you're going to take a beating. So I had this vision in my head, and that was Tuesday night, and I had some time. I was going to develop the idea a little bit and share it during our live feed. Then a couple walks in that I didn't know was coming, and that put me an hour and 15 minutes behind. I get to the live feed with no preparation, and it's buffering. So I can't really concentrate on what I'm saying. So I'm trying to tell this story and communicate a perfectly good video, but the buffering and all the messages just sort of ruined it. So I thought I'd come back to it. So that's what narcissistic abuse is. It's an inexperienced, vulnerable human being walking around in the pitch darkness, being hunted down by a monster with night vision goggles and a big gun. So what would have happened if this wasn't Hollywood is he'd have grabbed her. He could have shot her before. He had her in his sights. He could have cocked the gun and shot her, but it shows him trying to reach out and grab. He wanted to grab her. The predator in him, I don't think he wanted her to make skin out of her for his dress he was making out of a woman's skin, because Starling was sort of scrawny. But I think he did want to harm her himself. How dare this inexperienced little whippersnapper FBI agent show up at his house and pull a gun on him. You know, I think he wanted initially to do more than shoot her, and finally he decided he was going to shoot her. And in Hollywood style, you know, with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth, and you foul off 15 straight fouls, and then you hit a grand slam to win the Super Bowl is what Starling did there. But what would have happened is what happened to you and what happened to me, and that is we'd have been beaten bloody. We'd have been beaten black and blue for years and tortured. And many of us psychologically go through a death of sorts. And what happened to me was I would react to some of the abuse. And then the last time I spoke with her, May 23rd of 2015, she goes, "You sure have done some crazy things." You know, she lit me on fire. And then when I yelled in protest and in shock, she goes, "You're crazy." So I was blessed. I was like Agent Starling. I eventually turned around and shot that motherfucker, pardon my language, after many years of abuse, after many years of being beaten black and blue. And I talk about this in my all-time least favorite video of mine, 15 Ways That I Defeated My Narcissist. And oddly enough, that's our #1 video on our channel by far right now. People want to be empowered. They're tired of getting their butt kicked. And I think they're intrigued by somebody who fought back and got the better of their narcissist. But it takes that kind of a sort of miracle, because we're outmatched. There's a monster in the dark with night vision goggles. The most horrific thing for me was learning that the emotional serial killer monster with the night vision goggles was my sweet little country girl with a heart of gold. So picture me being Agent Starling, and you shoot the bad guy, and then I look over and it's not Buffalo Bill, it's my sweet country girl with a heart of gold. That's the shocker, is in reality, I wish I could have found a picture with Buffalo Bill laying there dead and shot and bloodied with the night vision goggles on. That's the picture I really wanted, because that's sort of what can happen if you're particularly fierce and you understand the nature of these monsters. Sometimes if you understand just being trapped in a corner like an animal and being attacked, the reason Starling won was because of her terror. It only took one little sound and she emptied 6 shots into that guy's face, because she was terrified. So my counsel to you would be, don't fight these monsters in a dark room. They're going to beat you. They're going to bloody you. If you're particularly powerful and blessed, you might get a shot in that takes them down. But it would be in your best interest to get out of the dark room. Flip the light switch on, see who they are, and get the hell out of there and go no contact. And get away from monsters. Get out of the dark room. Don't put yourself in a situation where there's a horrific predator lurking around your life with you in the darkness and them with night vision goggles. So I just wanted to share that. I thought it was sort of a particularly powerful vision of what happens to us. We're so vulnerable. We're so easily wounded and bloodied. And, you know, that man had taken many women and he put them in a hole. And he made them put lotion on their skin. And then he killed them and then he skinned them. We deal with that psychologically. Most of us don't deal with something that awful physically, but psychologically, we've been held in holes. We've been skinned alive. We've been snuck up on with a big gun. So I'm not advocating that you go to war with these people. I'm advocating that you get out of dark rooms and you get away from monsters. So thank you for watching, folks. I'm going to go watch the Cowboys play. They'll probably get beat again, but at least they came closer last week. If you haven't joined our YouTube channel, please subscribe and do check out my books at familytreecounseling.com. Stay out of dark rooms. Get away from monsters. You can't always rely on that last second shot by Agent Starling. God bless. Have a good day.